just came in, there'll be a listening session and a little bit of, to see what that is, so, but we have to do a better job of looking good for the federals to consider little old Fort Smith dead and coming.
It doesn't give me much time, but.
I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Our first item today is just reviewing the minutes and see if anybody had any questions. Welcome our guests today.
I've got a couple follow-up things, or just one. So as a follow-up from the May 11 meeting, there was some discussion involving travel training for the new citizens as part of the pilot training program. And I thought it might be a good idea to just kind of share some of the travel training activity that we're currently involved with. Greg Carthon went out and spoke with Baptist Health, and there was a number of doctors, nurses, and ER staff that Greg got to speak with and share a little bit about our program and how it works, and he answered quite a few questions about how to access the transit services, how we're funded, some of our challenges, things of that nature. And he provided some ideas on travel training as well. So there was that travel training aspect that he did there. And so that, and we're finding that our travel training program works better in that way than in any other capacity, where we initially thought we would be training an individual client. We see ourselves more training, agencies, representatives and things, and then they can train their clients, and that works out well. So Greg provided that training, and I think it was well received, and they were very appreciative of what we were able to do. We also have 2 more training sessions up coming up. We have the Community Rescue Mission, a session there, and then a joint meeting between Restore Hope and 100 Families that we're going to be doing some travel training on.
When is those?
In late September and early October, so probably Greg can probably get you the exact dates on that at some point, but
It's the 26th and the 3rd.
26th and the 3rd, okay.
Yes.
And so those meetings are coming up as well. I just wanted to share that that program is coming across strong, and it's working, so we'll extend that to the training when they come in. That's what I'd share that with the commission as a follow-up. That's all I have.
Anyone else have any changes or anything to the minutes? I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second?
Roll call, Bradley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
all in favor, none opposed.
Next item, number 2, is presentation for the adoption of the department's 24 to 2026 Disadvantaged Business Enterprises Plan, known as the DBE.
Right, so item 2 involves a presentation of the department's 2024 to 2026 DBE goal, planning goal of, it's a 3-year goal, or a 3-year plan with a goal of 2%. So we submitted this to FTA for review on August the 2nd, 2023. But I wanted to present this to you in hopes that we could get your blessing on it for kind of a final plan that we put together. And we've included it in a link form, and so it is in its final form, unless FTA comes back and says, we need some revisions to it. But kind of how we went about getting our goal set and established at 2%. We took a look at the type and availability of contractors in the state of Arkansas, for the projects that we have. And we divided that between the ready, willing, and able providers that are certified through the state's program. And that gives you a percentage, that we can, which ultimately came down to 2%. So there's like a weighted average for each category, and then we sum that up, come up with a percentage. And that means that, we plan to spend 2% of the funds that is coming from the federal government towards projects, like these, with, that, from persons that are, certified, through the, as DVE providers. And so, we've got all that, laid out in the plan. I think we kind of described how we're gonna do that. Some of our good faith efforts in trying to help get people, exposed to the plan and exposed to RDOT's certification program, and, you know, be that go-between if we can to help, you know,
I
get
saw
persons
this year that
certified.
Greg led a meeting that was
Yes.
kind of related to this, to help get some folks.
We had two
On board.
community meetings, about DBE, that we did, we offered, to allow the businesses, to be aware of DBE and the community to be aware of the DBE plan and how they can sign up for DBE,
Did folks
to be a DBE.
show interest? Did we
Yeah,
get anything off of that?
It was more was a community involvement than it was a business involvement, but we still put the information out there, and that video will be later available on our website too, so.
Good.
So there is a low participation in the public transit, area where we do, or are able to meet some of the, I guess criteria is for construction projects that we have. You'll find it's very heavily, utilized in the construction area, and even more so in areas like Dallas or Fort Worth. You know, the bigger areas, you have, a lot more activity. And there you may have an over concentration that you have to worry about or work with. Where here we kind of have an under concentration, but you have the same certification process. And so it's kind of tasky, when you look at what it takes to become certified. And so I think a lot of people just don't mess with it. It's, but it, you know, if you are meeting one of these criteria, it would be worth their time and trouble to become certified. And because of the, you know, number one, you're in a plan that's by the state, and, you know, you're exposed to a lot of work and opportunities that you wouldn't be, you know, if you didn't. So anyways, but, so that is pretty much what I have, with regard to the DVE plan, in the way of a presentation. And of course, the plan is attached, and, or it's on the, link that we provided to you. And I have it here, so anybody wants to see it or reference it with but that's all I have as far as the presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. It also includes a small business plan, and it talks about how we'll do some unbundling of big projects so that, you know, it gives an opportunity for smaller businesses to take part in. So it would be helpful if we could have a approval on that, if the commission so desires.
A motion to, approve the plan as it has been submitted. Second.
Roll call. Dustin?
Yes.
Bradley?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Angie? Yes. All in favor, none opposed?
It's plan day today. Item 3 is gonna be similar to this presentation that we've already received involving our Title VI plan for 2024 to 2026.
So our Title VI plan, is a 2024 to 2026, as, Commissioner Percival mentioned, or Chairperson Percival. We received no, public comments on this regarding our public hearing, and, submitted the, plan to FDA for review on June 21st, 2023. The Title VI plan, basically prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin in programs receiving federal financial assistance. So, a lot of this revolves around, making sure that, we don't don't allow language to become a barrier, you know, when I say language, like limited English proficiency languages, to become a barrier to accessing transit services. And we do have a Spanish or language translator, that is a driver lead person, and he spends quite a bit of time on the phone, and we make avenues available for passengers to speak directly with him to get the, you know, to get their ride scheduled, whatever their needs that they are, have them met. And so we feel like that's the basis of what we're doing to prohibit barriers from, you know, from access to the system. The plan also provides some system-wide service standards. It outlines those as well. And so, these are some of the things that, our civil rights officer, Greg Carthon is really paying attention to. And that was a big item for us, in all of these civil rights areas. When you look at, DBE, Title VI, EEO, and ADA, a big step that we did as a department was we, hired Greg to basically oversee these four particular programs and to, concentrate his emphasis in these areas. And so Greg has done an outstanding job of that already. And some of what you'll see is we've got a number of outreach activities that we've done, probably 20 to 30 already this year since he's been in that position, far more than we've had in the past. And so that really helps in getting the word out and opening up the lines of communication and making this plan available. And another big thing that we did was we purchased a program called, a software program called Babbly, and that allows us to translate languages, particularly to Vietnamese and Laotian, which are the other two languages common in this area. And so, and it can do other languages as well. So if we have plans, such as these plans, that need to be changed, or if we have a request, we can make that available in other languages. So that's probably the highlights of the Title VI program or plan that we have. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we would hope to entertain the same, you know, activity with the board, or action, commission on this as well.
Having a staff member willing to work with people in Spanish is really appreciated. When we debuted the trial route out to Disneyland and Chaffee, I did a lot of outreach, advertising that to Spanish speakers. I made a flyer in Spanish and posted it in Spanish speaking groups and stuff, and my Spanish is decent, but I got a lot of response, not just on the trial route, but on people who were interested in the bus in general and, you know, needed the same talk through I do in English all the time to people who aren't familiar. And it was nice that I could also refer that, hey, if what we just talked about doesn't get you there, they have somebody call down to transit headquarters, they'll get you the Spanish person, and they will help you through.
Yes.
Don't let it get in the way. They can help you out.
And that is
it
exactly.
It helped improve their confidence. I don't know if any of them ended up needing to call the Spanish version or not, but just the confidence that, hey,
It's available.
if I get a little stumped, you know, I can call the Spanish operator.
Very good example.
Ms.
Very
Kim.
good example. So,
Ms. Kent, just to emphasize on that, we do have a couple, community events that, was just reached out about in the, Hispanic community, that they had asked us to be a part of, and that's one of the things that we'll be making sure that, that employee will be with us, at
That's
those
terrific.
events and stuff. And with the Babbler deal, we have 10 languages right now, and so we already prepared and forward thinking, for the people that we'll have coming from the flight program. So Singapore and all that kind of stuff there, is in their language to be able to translate the whole entire website. So, not only did we help transit and do it for transit, but also it helped our entire city. So the entire website is you can translate it in any language. So Fabulous. I can't spell it for you.
Fabalic.
That's what it is.
Oh, Fabalic.
Have you already had those meetings with the Hispanic community?
I have not. I was actually approached this Saturday at the community health fair that we was at, wellness fair, with a representative from Fort Smith Public Schools that is a part of that Hispanic event that they have coming up.
Okay.
And so I told her that we'll be able to do that once she gives me the information, and we'll work it out. And I already mentioned that to Mr. Ken as well. So
So
I
they're
bet that
gonna
one in
tell
Darby
you,
too, probably you were able to reach out to some folks that
yes, yes, ma'am.
they serve a lot.
Did you say anything, Ms. Joe? I'm sorry.
yeah, so they're gonna tell you when that event's gonna
Yes,
happen.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They'll contact us, and we also have avenues on our website for people to request a meeting or information from us, and we'll reach out to them and see if that's something we can accommodate or not. So,
Okay, thank you.
no problem.
I'll make a motion for final approval. of
Second.
Title VI Plan Jones.
Roll call, Bradley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Dustin.
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed.
Item number 4 is a review for consideration of approval of the 2023 revised transit asset management plan, known as TAM.
All right, so our transit, asset management plan, TAM plan, this is what it's like, 5th revision, I believe. We've, yeah, this will be its 5th revision. This started back as a requirement back in 2018. The board approved this, but what this is it's a plan in how the department will assess, monitor, and report the physical conditions of its equipment, facilities, and, revenue vehicles, to the Federal Transit Administration, letting them know that, hey, our equipment is in a state of good repair. And so, there's a goal in there of how we plan to do that. There's a ranking, they do a 1 through 5 ranking, a 5 actually being the best, 1 being the worst. And so we are to go through and rank, and there's an automated section with regard to like age and mileage. And then there's this more subjective area, which is what we put in, which is a condition rating. And then it takes a total of sum of all 3 and then gives you kind of an overall number of where your equipment is and how kind of how reliable that equipment is. And so if you were to look at page 40 on the plan, it really illustrates the best. It's the best overall page that, I realize you don't have that in front of you, I probably should have printed that off. But it shows, essentially, what each vehicle is rated as, and it's cumulative condition scoring, meaning that it's considered all 3 of those areas. And it shows its original cost, basically what that replacement cost was. And then it also shows when we plan on replacing that equipment. And so a lot of information, and most of this book, is all information on how we go about, administrating this 1 page, basically, and how we're gonna replace this equipment, when we're gonna replace it, what it's gonna replace, that kind of thing. And so, if you were to look at that page, it'd show, that our new buses that we acquired, the new Gilead low-floor buses for the fixed routes, that took care of our fixed routes for the next 12 years, and it's different when you look at useful life. FTA's useful life of a large bus like that at 14 years, where the manufacturer originally specifies it at 12 years. So, a lot of that's gonna depend you start reaching those upper year ranges, and how you put it in your program, much like what I described earlier with the electric vehicles that we're looking at. But anyways, and then it also shows our paratransit vehicles and when what our plan is about replacing those. And so I put $115,000 in beginning in 2024 for 2 vehicles and another 2 in 2025, and then 4 more in 2026. So the idea being, let's get enough of these to do what we need to do with, and then we'll have a pretty good strategy, I think, that's environmentally friendly, especially for an agency our size, that's especially not even in, I guess, in that environment where we have to do this. We're doing this kind of voluntarily. I think we're moving in the right direction there. It's kind of costly to go that way, but I think it's probably the right way to go. We also included a trolley in there in 2026. We did a renovation to it, and it's like brand new now. I say brand new, it's still not new, it's an older vehicle, but if you've not seen it, we've completely re-renovated the trolley. The engine is in good shape, it's got a paint job on it, the interior is really nice. So our equipment is in pretty good order, and that's really what the basis of this plan is to share, how the equipment is, what we plan to do in the future coming up. And I just mentioned vehicles, but it also includes our support vehicles, which would be our administrative vehicles that we use for like shift changes or attending meetings or responding to incidents or accidents, or for maintenance purposes, things of that nature. And that's an area that's kind of unique, and through this TAM plan we learned that we have 2 completely different subsets of experiences with these vehicles. The revenue vehicles that we use every day, we put a lot of miles on, 200 miles a day, and so we replace those before the age even becomes a noticeable criteria in their depreciation. But now, on the other hand, when you look at our support vehicles, age is a big problem because we don't put a lot of miles on them. We need that number of vehicles for the activities that we need it for, but we don't put a lot of miles on them. So we're still having to replace those, but the purpose of replacing those are more age-driven, and the purpose of replacing the revenue vehicles are more mileage-driven.
And so it makes them real compatible with getting it from other departments.
Right.
Cause like, the police department puts a ton of miles on a
Right.
vehicle before it's old at all.
Right.
And because old doesn't matter to us.
And where we kind of went backwards is exactly what you mentioned is, we felt like, well, hey, we can get a good vehicle from, another department that, that's just been around a long time, doesn't have a lot of miles, and we can fix that vehicle up. And we've done that for almost our entire fleet of support vehicles, but then when we bring this plan into place, FTA said, you need to be thinking about replacing those vehicles too. There are reasons that you need to have those vehicles replaced, and a lot of it is the new, safety features that's associated with a newer vehicle. You have, air curtains and airbags, and where some of these older vehicles, that stuff's not readily available. And so, FTA wants to ensure that you're, considering that as well. So, we're, in essence, this plan is kind of requiring us to have another look at, we really need to start upgrading our support equipment as well, and we've tried to do that. We've replaced, just recently, we replaced 2 vehicles, with, pickups, new 4-door pickups. We've got another one ordered for this year, and we've got another one budgeted, next year. So low miles, you know, we've not really been concentrating any alternative fuels efforts in those vehicles. I mean, it might make sense too, but again, with them being driven so many low miles, we add,
Doesn't add
you
up.
start adding the cost of what it would take to, it just doesn't make a lot of sense as far as, you know, at this point in time. You know, maybe that's something we can look at later, but I feel like that's where, you know, we need to look at, you know, more of the type of vehicle for the type of services used, rather than the type of fuel that burns, because it's utilized so minimally, not taken away from its
Yeah.
importance.
Yeah,
But it's.
the
utilized.
impact is less.
Right. And I think, you know, we, in these board meetings, you'll see where they ran into the same problem at the landfill. You know, they had some older equipment, but it never left the face of the landfill. How many hours could it get, you know, or miles could it get, you know, if it never left the landfill. So, yeah, just the type of equipment, what it does. You know, the other one that stands out for us is we have a service truck that has a crane on it, and, you know, it's used only for putting out, transit shelters, you know, and we use it a lot when we put out a transit shelter, or if we move one. But we don't do that every day, you know, that's something we do, you know, occasionally, but it's very important when we need it, so, you know, do we go out and buy a brand new vehicle for something that, you know, does that? So no, we've extended the useful life on it out to 23 years. But that being said, it's gonna start kind of sending up a red flag that, you know, that's probably a little too much, so we're gonna have to look at acquiring a new vehicle for that at some point. But those are all things that it does in this TAM plan, and I think more than anything, it opens your eyes to those types of issues, and just make sure that you're addressing that, and giving thought where thought is deserved, so.
I'm sure it stood out to Dustin too, because he's been through a lot of these TAM plans. We've been through these just about every year for a while now, how big a difference the lifespan is on those new blue buses versus what we were used to seeing every year on the small white buses. It's significant. They were what, running about 8 years usually?
Yeah,
Is that
not
right?
even,
Was
yeah,
their
5 to
estimate?
8 years.
Yeah.
And then what it would seem like we were spending a lot of time just outfitting them. We would be taking one out, put another one in, and each time you'd remove the cameras, you'd remove all the, you know, fare box equipment, all the triangle safety equipment, bicycle racks, everything, and you're taking them from one to another, and you're spending a lot of time just, you know, converting. Whereas now we've got these 12-year vehicles, you know, we outfitted them one time, and they're gonna last a long time. So the TAM plan, like you said, it has
It's a
played a
notable
big part in,
difference.
you know, opening our eyes to that and saying, hey, we need a change here. And, so anyways,
Speaking of that, long term, how's the access road coming? That's
So-
been several years.
okay, yeah. So with the access road, we reached out, our stumbling block on that, or our barrier has been the railroad. And so, we did meet with the attorney, we provided a letter, and we indicated to, the railroad company that, you know, we would hope that you would come on board, or we may have to look at eminent domain. And really, it's not even the property, because we have an easement for the property. It's just a use agreement, a shared use agreement between the railroad and the transit department. And so they've agreed now to come to the table, with that letter being in place. And so right now, we're waiting on setting up a meeting with administration and the transit department, and getting an agreement put together, a shared use agreement. So we've made some progress, and so with that, we've already asked the engineers to start with the, you know, developing the construction plans. And so we should start seeing some activity before too long on that now, because that's been a better part of the year, more in just making sure that we got that. You know, we did have to get all the other pieces to that, but, you know, that's been our big stumbling block in the barrier. So we're anxious to start moving forward with that. So thankful that the railroad's now looking at coming we're an issue, a safety issue to them as they are to us, you know, and traveling through these, semis maneuvering
Mhm.
out here, it's just very difficult, very challenging, but that's where
I just
we're at.
experienced that.
Yeah.
Going back,
Yeah, exactly.
going back to this, is the overall score, does that affect, insurance rates or anything?
I don't believe it does, and, you know, the main thing is, you know, FTA says you can operate, even with your equipment out of range, so to speak, as long as it's in a state of good repair. And
Okay.
so, you know, one of the things that we did, is that we said, okay, you know, it takes a year at least to get a vehicle in once you order it. So we put in the plan that anything rated below a 3, is eligible for replacement. You know, they don't like to see you operate anything below a 2. And so if we know that we're below a 3 or a 3 or below, it's time to start looking at ordering so that we can actually have that vehicle delivered before that vehicle it's replacing reaches a category 2 or below, you know, that 2. And so that's been very helpful. And again, that's part of, you know, looking at this plan and making sure. But as far as insurance goes, I do think it's very helpful. You know, when we had the situation where the vehicle got hit and the tanks, you know, were severed and we had the fire, you know, we were able to go back and look at the TAM plan and say, look, that vehicle was inspected, you know, its level of, mechanical ability was, you know, in this 3 or 4 range, whatever it was at that time. And it was very helpful to have that information that, hey, you know, we have taken a look at this vehicle, it's not something we put out there and neglect. So I think it's helpful to have that information on hand for accidents or incidents or things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone like to make a motion?
To accept, as explained, or, yeah. Roll call, Dustin?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Bradley?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed.
Who was the motion and second on that?
Joe made the motion and Bradley seconded.
Okay, gotcha.
Item number 5 is involving our transit assistant program request. And we're just gonna, looks like we're just reviewing it for consideration for approval. We're just kind of updating our numbers here, I believe, if you can.
So we have a couple of requests. We have a request from, Hope's Bridge at Fort Smith, and we also have a request from First Choice Pregnancy Medical Clinic. We do have, I did provide you with a report, I believe, not sure where I put that. If you look at the report, this shows our annual allocated, which is 23,700, so that's if every agency used 100% of the allocation, that's where we would be. You know, we've always tried to keep it, at the 15,000 mark, and so you can kind of see, where we would be if for those that's, been collected for, January through August is, to this date, or to that date, was 7,500, so we're still in that range. And so I would say there's still some wiggle room to add in a couple of, new agencies or entities, but,
I can remember when this was 2 pages.
yes, yeah, and so,
This report, the format that it is in today is terrific, and I would love it if we always receive it in this format. I was able to understand things about these that wasn't obvious to me in some of the
Right.
other formats this has been presented.
right,
I noticed some things when I was looking, that there's a couple that are drastically below their allocation, and some that haven't picked up, we haven't got back any of their allocation at all. Are they not getting tickets or not handing out tickets, or
Well-
do we have any idea what the deal is, especially with these
So-
guys?
So we know that, sometimes things change in the organizations and maybe the need drops off. And there's sometimes the people in the organization change, maybe they're not familiar with the program. But we have done, what we have done in the past is that if there no activity within 6 months, typically we'll look at, rolling them off of the system and then asking that, they reapply. And that way it gives the commission a chance to hear about their program, any changes or anything. So if there's
Cause
somebody.
some of them were surprised, Literacy Council
Yeah,
has a 0 on here, and they used to participate fairly strongly on it.
right, and so I wouldn't know what their, reasoning for not.
Oh, okay, you know.
I'm on the
you can
board.
find out.
I'll look
Okay.
into
'Cause
it.
that's a significant drop, and they're one of the ones, a couple of these that are not using very many or even using 0 are ones that we had pretty large allocations on, like the
Mhm.
probation is at a 0 on here, and probation, was a 1,200 ticketer.
Right,
They've had tickets before I was here.
the Arkansas Community Probation.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that's a 0.
Or, maybe they just decided they don't have as big of a need,
Yeah,
And again, that's a good question because, at some point, which I think rolling them off after
Yeah,
inactivity.
six
It
months
allows-
is fair.
Yeah, it
I was just
allows-
wondering how this,
Right, and we have,
so we
a
can keep a
number of
better
them
idea
have.
of what we have.
So, and I think it's good because it also allows other agencies, to come in and participate, where it doesn't, keep the door closed for long periods of time. And, doing too much of this, it makes it harmful to the integrity of the transit program,
Yeah.
so, and the fare program, fare structure program.
Yeah.
So, we feel like this covers a percentage of our overall fares. And, it's not something many other transit agencies do, but it is something that, it does assist, I think, in the community and help, and I think it exposes new ridership where, we may not have had that before. And so, I think the first application that we have here is from, Hopes Bridge at Fort Smith. Do we have anyone here from Hopes? Okay, and, go ahead, share what you might about the program.
Yeah, so, my name's Austin Coates, I'm the director of Oak Bridge. We founded the organization in January, earlier this year, and, I wrote a grant to the Arkansas Opioid Recovery Partnership, and we were able to receive a grant for $320,000 to purchase a house and furnish it for, transitional living for males in Fort Smith. And, so we got the house and furnished it and remodeled it, and we've got it filled up. And so what we do is, we take a holistic approach to recovery. This is for individuals who are in recovery from substance abuse. And so, we believe that there's a multi-pathway to recovery, and so, what may work for one person may not work for the next. So, if like the 12-step model was your thing, then that's great, we can help you with that. If not, we're gonna explore some other ones, but, just some general guidelines of our program is we're requiring them to get a job within 2 weeks of moving in. At that point, they are required to start paying weekly, program fees, effectively rent. And then, they're also required to, actively participate in the recovery. So whichever pathway they choose, then we make sure that they, attend or participate in 3 related activities per week, regarding, in relation to their pathway they choose. So if it's 12-step meetings, they gotta go to 3 12-step meetings a week. And so, we also offer, peer mentoring and job readiness. I work with the guys on building resumes and job interviewing skills and stuff like that. And so, there was such a need for this in this community. It doesn't exist. There's one provider in the city that provides this, and you have to go through the residential program first to be eligible for the transitional living. And so it really put up a barrier to a lot of people, And so what we wanted to do is open the doors, an opportunity for, more people to have a safe place to start their journey into recovery, through recovery. And so that's, that was our goal. And, so we got the men's house up and running, and, I've actually just got two adjacent properties under contract, this week, for, women's and children's house, and also a women's only house. And so we'll be adding about 26 beds, to the women's side that we'll be able to provide for females. And so, that's kind of a rundown, and, I think we'll just, expand as the community, as we see the need in the community. But that's the rundown of what we're doing here.
And transit plays an integral part in what you need as far as.
Sure, yeah, so the guys, when they come in, my proposal was, a monthly bus pass. And the monthly bus pass would be more effective because these guys are gonna be going to job interviews and job hunting, and so a couple bus passes really, they would spend those in a day, and so what I wanted to do was, try to, get the city to, approve for a monthly bus pass for a guy that just moves into the house. And then, just for 1 month, and at that point, he'll be working and making, a paycheck, and then he'll have to buy his own the next month. And so, so that fosters a sense of responsibility and accountability, I capped it, in my proposal, I capped it at 7 per month. We have a total of 12, beds in the house, but I kept it at 7 per month because I don't think I will need. This month I had three guys move in. The rest of them were moved in last month, and so I don't even see myself using 7 per month at all. I just kind of put that in there, but that's what I propose, and I appreciate if you guys would consider it.
Our program doesn't typically do passes. We do a buy tickets basis. I definitely sympathize. I understand how the passes would be, but the way we track it and the way our funding works, I don't see, without a total overhaul of the system, being able to incorporate passes. Is that how you see that?
I would agree, a couple of things to that, and you're right, both of you are spot on, I understand.
Yeah,
where you're coming
I
from.
love the idea.
And I love the idea that there's a help.
That first month when you're
helping
trying to get
hand
a job, you have a pass,
and a way
would
to
be
do
nice.
that.
We have a couple of other organizations that I think their structure would work well in a
Right,
pass format
right.
too, but.
And to that point also, one of the things that I wanted to do, and I put in as a goal, and this is kind of related, for 2024 as one of our budget goals, was to do a study of ridership. And with that, I want to look at, our policies to find out, are they too burdensome, or are they cutting back on ridership? Look at a number of different things. Could we be offering more free passes? Could there be a pass that might be eligible for the entity and not the person? Greg and I spent quite a bit of time talking about, what would be some new future options as far as, something that would entice ridership, but not disturb the integrity of the program and the fares that we receive and the purposes that they're used. So all that being said, I think that piece of it, we really need a committee to study, and maybe even some members of this group here to do kind of like study sessions, to sit down and look at maybe some options of what we can do that would fit within the scope of our program. For right now, though, the tickets is really what we've done with every entity and every agency. And, even doing anything at this point, we've already almost maximized our allocation.
We are definitely having to
It's hard
not be
to
as
do.
freewheeling as we once were.
Yeah, it's hard to do anything. But that said, maybe we need to refocus our strategy. So, I would recommend at this time that the commission look at, issuing some tickets at this point, and then.
Would that be helpful to you? Would that be something that you could administer in your environment, and something that would be helpful that you could deal with,
Two
or would
hundred
it?
and 10 tickets, would take care of 1 month for 7 people, but that would be up to you to monitor,
Sure.
you know, who is, where you're going,
Yeah.
you know, and
Right.
keep a record, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be very beneficial. And, you know, I got this thing, my proposal, I can keep up and revisit, you know, with you guys periodically if you'd like. But yeah, I think that'd be great.
How many did you say would get it?
210.
210 would make it so that
Seven.
7 people for a month could get to work in
For
that?
a month, once a day. That
Okay.
that would be a once a day thing.
So if we were to do that, and you look at the total number of tickets for the year, I mean, it would really push our,
Yeah, cause that would put them at,
not trying to take away.
yes, no,
Just
but
looking at-
that would, over the course of the year, would put them more than our highest current allocation. Our current highest allocation is 3,000 for the dialysis.
Right.
I hate to have a new organization come in right off the bat.
Yeah.
Our new highest one, especially, you know,
Yeah.
and actually new, not just new to us, but also new to the community, I think kind of may not set the right look to some of the more established agencies that
But we
we've
know the
worked with.
need.
Oh, I 100%
Yeah.
agree.
And-
I wanna get these folks
Exactly.
tickets.
Yeah.
We're talking numbers now.
Yeah, but if we know the need and if we do something that will let us refine what works for us and for you, because just throwing tickets out there is not good for our records, and it may not be good for your clientele.
Sure.
But, you know, in the beginning of a project like what you're doing, I feel like you have to do support in the beginning. And when you mess up.
Well, and it seems to me that the main thing that everybody needs is when they come in, they need them for that first 2 weeks till you get a paycheck, right? And then
Yeah.
after that, you're gonna be able to pay your own bus fare. So the whole population of the house is not gonna be
No.
Right.
needing tickets every week. It's
Right now,
gonna be-
3 people.
The new guy
Right.
is gonna be the one that needs the tickets.
And it may be, you know, 3 weeks out, because if they start working in 2 weeks, they're gonna be a week behind getting a paycheck.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes when people get jobs, you go to places where other people are working, that are kind of in the same location as your rights.
Sure, yeah, there's
Yeah.
Those
guys in
are
there.
always two, they need to have a
Well,
transportation.
sometimes when you're going through life changes, you lose some of your connections though, and it's tougher to bum a ride.
Yeah.
And when you know, you're making new friends and maybe not being so connected with some of the old ones.
And I kind of heard something in your presentation that I hadn't really heard before, that it almost sounds like, you know, a pass, that was there for the agency, to control, not the individual to control, might be a helpful thing to them, and that's just something we've never explored before, and I think it would be worth it to think about that in our discussion about future ridership.
Yeah.
So at least it's something that we can.
And we have a lot of these partners that we've worked closely with and, you know, could talk to them and see, you know, if this would be something that they wanted to, that would be a useful,
Might be easier to
useful,
control or.
easy plan for them, or, no, tickets is the way, or,
Right. So it's something to at least look at, you know, going forward.
it is. For now, though, I think it would be nice to pick a ticket number for these guys for now until we do have
Right.
an overhaul type look at our program. And I think as we grow, as transit and as we grow community population, it's probably time. We instituted this plan that we currently use, you know, when we were
Mm-hmm.
much smaller.
Many years ago.
The community we were dealing with
Sure.
was different than what we're dealing with currently. you know, we've been starting people with 25 tickets. The last few that we've done, like last 4 or 5 we've done 25 tickets, and I don't think that is sufficient to do much of anything for them to go. I mean, I feel like 25. I mean, it helps.
I think we could double.
I
double
think
would
that
be
sounds
okay.
great. I think, cause that would,
Cause we've got a couple of them here, just to see how it goes for you to start. You can always come back to us and say, hey, I'm using these tickets,
yeah,
can I have some more? And we're usually pretty open, cause, I mean, just one in general, Hope Campus, and I just caught it by name here. You know, we started them pretty heavy, and we've got 0 usage this year from them. And start and just kinda see, and then we may reach out.
I don't see them as a 0. I see them as used all of theirs.
Not claimed
Yeah,
yet,
they
is what
not-
they haven't claimed a ticket this year.
Yeah, they have.
They have claimed all
every
of
one
them.
Oh, they claimed their, oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading.
Yeah, they have
Oh,
0
collective, I
available.
see.
But we have a couple that were big ticket holders that
Yeah.
are 0s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's available, but.
Yeah,
But right before them, there was one.
yeah, that's it. We
Yeah,
have
heart to heart.
We have a couple of big ticket holders that are 0s. So we do have a little, and I get, 50 tickets would get,
And that's manageable within the program that, you know, we could go forward with.
yeah, and that would be,
40 tickets is a monthly pass.
yeah, okay, so that's, yeah. I would think we could start with that and see how that goes. 'Cause that-
50 tickets right now for this agency, okay, and come back next.
And, yeah, and we're gonna look at a bigger
Are you
plan
making
for
the motion,
the
Joe?
plan.
Pardon
Are you making the motion?
I'll make that motion.
Yeah,
that-
sure.
that we-
Are you seconding?
I'll second it, we got it.
Well, I didn't know, you had to
Nancy,
back
Nancy,
up.
move
We're
on.
all twins, we're bargaining here,
Okay, roll call, Dustin,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes,
all in favor, none opposed, approved 50 tickets.
yeah,
And
that would
we
get
will
the newest
wait
people who
until
are
after the
furthest away
meeting. I'll
from the
give you your
facility.
first
to
allotment.
work.
Okay?
Thank you.
It'd be great program. Just so you know how to become oriented with getting started.
Sure.
Kenya pretty much manages this program. She sits at this clerk's desk
Sure.
up front here. She's out on vacation this week, but she'll be back next week.
I'll go over it with you, but I'll start the paperwork.
Nancy can explain a little bit about how that works and get you started.
Would you benefit from one of the training sessions that we were talking about, to help you and your guys
Well, that's a good idea.
learn
Travel training.
how to use the bus system? Cause, you know, they're probably gonna be using it at least for a while, you know, cause
Right.
they're gonna need vehicles eventually, and, you know, they're not,
I mean,
Not quick.
yeah, of course, I think it would be beneficial, but trying to get them to go to it, you know,
Okay.
I don't know.
They're
It
already
would be
busy.
more you.
Okay.
Yeah,
It'd be
right.
train the trainer, and then you
Right.
would just explain the system.
to someone
Yeah.
to teach them how to ride.
Yeah, of course, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And we have many ways set up. If you look under the transit website, and you look under community, it's a Busser tab there, and there's ways you can schedule with me. Either I can come to you, or you can come
Right.
here, or we can do Zoom or Teams
Yeah.
online. And if I need to come and talk to your group, I don't mind coming to you guys and
Yeah.
talk to you guys.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Very good,
it's no
thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
And then next up, we have a first choice pregnancy medical clinic. And do we have a representative from that clinic here? Guess not.
I am not in favor of adding them to our program. We have Heart to Heart, who's already eligible for tickets, and is doing some of the
First
programs.
choice used to actually be in the program.
Is it,
They were,
um,
when we first started it,
They
like,
were.
yeah. When I was handling the program, I'm pretty sure, I'm not gonna swear to
Well,
that, but.
So they might have been one of those that rolled off.
They did a lot of, changing the hands and stuff, and then they forget that it's part of their thing, you know, when
Train,
trains the next person, because they just come in and don't know. But I'm pretty sure they were in the program before.
I'd just like to see a representative first.
yeah,
Yeah,
Let's have some-
I told them the date of the
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've looked into the program, we've got a lot of worthy organizations, and we have to be choosier now, and I don't know that that one is one of the top ones that needs to be a priority right now.
So if they came in for another meeting and gave us some numbers and made it persuasive, we would need to know.
Because it is not healthcare, it's not like what the health department does.
Yeah.
It sounds medical because they do ultrasounds, it's not.
Okay.
This is a ministry, this is not as health focused as
Okay.
it originally
Yeah.
made on the surface
So-
sound.
Okay.
So do I put denied or table it?
I'm denied. I will be denied if we bring it back.
So are you making a motion to deny?
Motion to deny.
Is there a second?
The
Have a
item
second
just-
on the motion to
the
deny?
item just fails
Okay.
for lack of a second.
Okay.
So they would have to bring it back if they decide they want.
Yeah.
I think everybody just has questions.
We want more.
I did research.
Yeah, you did the
Yeah.
research, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Next to item 5,
Number 6, other business. Anybody have anything new?
What do I got? I got things. The Chaffee route that we've been testing out, how's it going? Have we
Well,
got?
that's what I was
I know we
getting
still
ready to
got
say.
another month, but do we have some initial
So it looks
feelings
like
and feedback to share?
May 13th, Jenny Lynn portion was 88, Chaffee was 19. The June 2nd, Jenny Lynn 34, Chaffee 8. We're not showing anything for Chaffee on the July 8th.
We didn't have anything.
Well, it rained.
Okay.
We
We have to
maybe-
cancel it.
But on that same date, the Jenny Lynn had 46. August 12th, Jenny Lynn 78, Chaffee 10. September, I don't have the date down here, but 45 on Jenny Lynn, 7 on Chaffee. So it's kind of showing a strong presence or utilization on.
We knew that.
Yeah.
That this is the numbers that we.
So-
I was hoping to see more out of Chaffee.
What I recommended for, cause we have to make a decision in the
Yeah.
budget, at the budget
Yeah.
point. What I recommended to, Mr. Gefkin was, at the point where we're fully staffed, cause we're having some staffing issues, with, long-term illnesses now. But we expect those, somehow we'll get that resolved. But anyway, so budgeting forward for 2024, I think we could look at maybe adding in the Jenny Lynn route for Saturdays and doing another a study similar to what we did this year. Maybe pick another 8 days, and particularly during the summer, where it also doubles back for the water park and all that. Maybe pick another 8 days that we do that sample route for Chaffee on Saturdays. But to me, the numbers and the differences between the two
Those have not been
just
strong.
doesn't show strong enough for
No.
Chaffee compared to Jenny
I've been to
Lynn.
Chaffee and there were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
There were
There
people
is.
there just,
Right, but they're.
they had vehicles and they were.
Yeah, but
spinning
that
in.
farmer's market is closing down in
Yeah,
Chaffee.
right.
And of course, the water park is.
Well, no, I think that's gonna change as we go forward, and as the pilot training program gets
Yes.
established, as, you're just now seeing some of the square down there really turning into something big and unique, and I think it's gonna change, but,
These
looking
numbers
right
reflect maybe
now-
we're not there yet.
Looking right now, from what we're able to see through this pilot program, it looks like Jenny Lynn is a winner on
Yeah,
that. But,
but we knew that was gonna be popular. It's
Yeah.
been on request for
Yeah.
some time.
Quite some time.
But I'd hoped for higher numbers at Chaffee. I would have
Yeah.
thought.
That's where we're at so far.
Well, when some of the multifamily things are finished out of Chaffee, they've been working on that may change
Right.
some.
Right.
But by and large, the economic level is much greater in Chaffee than most areas. So
It is, yeah.
tried things and we learned, you know?
We got it.
It didn't, you know, didn't do what we thought, but that's,
I think the numbers might increase once the apartment complexes that are low income are completed and built.
Yes.
I think right now, the majority of the people that are out there are not the low income people and they have their own cars.
Yep.
Right.
They have some in that area, but the development is still not finished.
Right, so it's,
And so the size where the market is at, you know, those businesses that's there are not even completed yet.
Right.
The coffee house, all the other different things. So especially, you know, from a Saturday perspective, it's more of a manufacturing
mhm.
spot. And then, anything else is out there, which is, you have the living quarters for the colleges out there. And they get a substantial amount of funds, and loans, and so a lot of them have, cars. I've spoken with many of them out there.
Is our on-demand service being demanded quite a bit out there when we don't have the trial route running, you know?
Yeah, it's.
Cause, you know, a lot of times that gives us a feel for, you know, how much, you know,
That's good.
are there a lot of people requesting to come and go from out there via demand? How, is it
No.
strong and the trial
It's-
route is just missing?
I don't think in the Chaffee area it's real strong.
Okay.
Yeah, we have passengers that rides every day out there to go to work.
Right.
But it's not a significant amount of
Okay, not-
people to,
Is it two,
justify a
maybe
route.
three?
It's like 3 or 4 people that
Yeah,
could.
about 3 people.
Okay, so it's still being well served by demand, but not hot demand.
And that's usually, I mean, that's how we started our fixed routes with, using the demand service and tracking the different
numbers.
areas
Well,
of interest.
the Jimmy Lynn route, you know,
Right.
grew a lot of how it was guided was
The demand.
off of the way the demand bus.
You got to consider too is the water park there. So the water park didn't even drive that amount of numbers up, for people on Saturday to attend the water park. And so you have a lot of people who could have connected from all sides of the town, to go to the water park. And so we do understand the price point and the area, and so that did not increase it.
This
We had test marketed the water park before.
This is the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water park just never pans out like we think it's going to. But at least, you know, at least both ways, we've learned that we're not ready for the water park yet.
So the pilot program, we're talking about the access road. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the shelters, the shelter art program. We've got 4 of those done now. And, you know, our holdup is we're waiting on the graphics to be done so that we've already put the shelters up there. You know, our plan was to put 10 shelters out and then put the graphics on the 10 shelters. We got 9 of the shelters out. I think the 10th one is gonna be at Baptist Health, so we're working that scenario through now. So we should have that shelter up before too long, but, you know, as soon as we get the artwork back from the graphics provider, we'll have those put up. But they really look nice, if you haven't had a chance to see them, I think.
I saw a couple months ago, I haven't been to that stop in a couple months, but the Zero Street Walmart, looked like we had a pad poured out there. Was that a pad for us and there's the shelters coming?
So we've been working
Okay.
with the Walmarts to, you know, on.
Cause that new, you know, I know you and I talked about that new
Right.
grassy area where
Right.
it's at, a
Yeah,
pad was
and-
really